Hey there YouTube, I thought I would give you an update on a Buick. Yes, I replaced the water pump. The job was easier than I thought. There was no hoses to disconnect or anything. All it was basically just unbolting a housing, removing the old water pump, scraping the old gasket material off the engine, installing the new gasket for the new water pump, and bolting the new water pump onto the engine. And I did not need to remove the power steering pump like I said I was going to do. I later realized that removing the tensioner wheel got me perfect access to the water pump bolts I couldn't get at. So I did not need to remove the power steering pump like I said I was going to do. I just needed to remove the tensioner wheel on the tensioner. And that gave me perfect access to the water pump bolts I couldn't get at. So I installed the water pump. I filled the cooling system up with a fresh mixture of 50-50 mix, water and antifreeze. And I took the car for a test ride. Everything on the cooling system seemed to be alright. The level was alright. There was no abnormal smoke out of the tailpipe. The fan kicked on and off. The system got pressure. But the engine had a miss, and I was really starting to worry because I thought I maybe screwed up the engine driving it home after the pulley fell off the water pump. So I was stumped. I was really starting to get frustrated. So I pulled all the spark plugs out of the engine, and I found that number 2, which is on the passenger side rear, on the side of the engine, the very far one. Number 2, it just seemed to be wet and smelled like gas. So I traced the wire back to the coil pack, and I found that there was no voltage from the coil pack. So I had to get a new coil pack at the junkyard. It was like $5. And after I installed the new coil pack, bingo, the engine ran perfect again. And when I was changing the spark plugs, some of the boots were seized on the spark plug ceramic parts. So I ended up screwing up some of the wires, so I had to get a new wire set. And when I was at what's that? Trying to think. When I was at AutoZone, I was looking at the Bosch wires, the wires that were on my car, and I was looking at the Duralast wires that AutoZone provides, and they have the same boots. So I think the Bosch wires and the AutoZone wires, or the Duralast wires, I think they're the same wires. You're just paying more for the Bosch name. So I changed all the spark plugs. I put new wires on. The engine runs perfect now. And this past week I changed the rear brake lines, the hydraulic lines, because they were rusting. The passenger side wasn't as bad as the driver's side. The driver's side was pretty crispy, the lines were. So I replaced all the steel lines because I didn't want to run into a problem again in the winter time when I would step on the brake. Then all of a sudden I would lose brake pressure and maybe end up getting to an accident. I did not want to deal with that, so I replaced all the steel lines. And the great thing, what GM did was when they built that car, they put rubber fuel lines in there, or plastic fuel lines. So I don't have to worry about those rusting. And yes, that's an update on the car. And I took it for a ride on the expressway with the new tires. Awesome. It doesn't shake above 75 miles an hour anymore. It's perfect. Sales. And that concludes this video. Bye.